Hi, and welcome to Morning Coffee with Pazan Academy. I'm Deanna, and today I want to talk to you about some of the things that I've been working on for our 9th grade curriculum surrounding Hellenistic philosophy. And what has really been kind of sticking with me is Stoicism. I am in the process of rereading Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, and he was a Stoic emperor. He's one of the last of the good emperors in Rome. So Zeno was the first Stoic. He invented the ideas of Stoicism, and he was a merchant, and he was sailing around as a merchant seaman, and he ends up in Athens. While in Athens, he goes into this bookstore, and he stumbles across this book by a philosopher who's talking about Socrates, and he was just so amazed by what he was reading. And so he asked the bookseller, who wrote this book? And the bookseller points to a man, and he starts talking with this man who ends up being his teacher. So he stays in Athens, and he develops his own ideas that we now know as Stoicism. So one thing that's really kind of struck me lately is I grew up in my heritage is Scandinavia. And so I grew up in kind of a Scandinavian environment. They're very reserved. They're very closed. Can't have too many emotions one way or the other. And it was really reminding me quite a bit of my grandfather and even my father to some degree. This idea of living within this sort of very narrow strip, not getting too upset, not getting too sad, not being, too many highs. And it's really interesting to think about why Zeno would put these ideas forward. So diving into the Stoics has just got me thinking about what happens when there's this early philosophy. Now, Zeno he was born in 334 BC. So this is over 2,000 years ago. And his philosophy, along with some others in the Hellenistic world, really impact later civilizations. And this idea of trying to kind of keep emotions in check and living in this one kind of narrow band and not being too much of a pleasure seeker and trying to avoid anything that would cause you distress or causing you to be upset. This really impacts a lot of later thinkers. I talk about Marcus Aurelius, and he was a later emperor in the Roman Empire. And then we get into the medieval period where Christianity has really taken hold of Western civilization. And even in some of the Christian writings, we see some of these things about too much pleasure being bad, or you're trying to avoid strife. And it really does impact. Fast forward and we get into the Enlightenment, and we still have more thinkers coming back and revisiting this. And in the 20th century, we still see this being a thing where, particularly when I was growing up, young boys would be told not to show emotion, don't cry in front of people, hold back your tears, repress things. And it's really interesting to think that this all goes back to these ideas of Zeno and these Stoics. Who was Zeno, and why did he come up with this philosophy? Well, he was a guy living in Athens in this very crazy Hellenistic world. This is past Alexander the Great's death. And so this world is chaotic. It's this huge empire. You have people that are speaking different languages in these urban centers. And although Greek was spread throughout the empire as the official language, there were still people that were traveling. And for the first time in civilization, we have everyone being part of the same empire, even though they may be from Mesopotamia or from Northern Africa. But because they're all Greek, because of the expansion of empire, you can travel. Now, prior to this, in the classical world, and even before that, you were a citizen of a very specific city-state. And if you were a foreigner, it was more difficult for you because you weren't a citizen. You couldn't just travel. And so in this world of sort of chaos and huge expansion, the Hellenistic philosophers tried to find a way to just deal with life. And Zeno did it in a way where you try to pull yourself in so you don't get too upset by things, but you also don't have too much hope or try to have too much desire for a great life or pleasure or these things that might be a little harder to get in this chaotic world. So that's where this comes from. And it's interesting to see how it really impacts people even to the modern day. So this is why we study all of this ancient history, ancient philosophy, so we know why we act certain ways even in the modern world, because these are cultural trends that impact us. Whether we think about it or not, whether we reflect on it or not, these Greeks still have kind of a hold over what is right and what is wrong in terms of behavior. I'm off to go work on some more philosophy, hopefully to uncover some more insight as to why we act the way we do in the modern world. I hope you have a great day and aren't too stoic and can find some pleasure in your afternoon. If you're enjoying our videos, please like, subscribe, share. We have links to our other social media in the description below, and have a good one.